if you're still going through the pain of the breakup, the separation, the disconnect of the soul relationship, because a lot of empaths, empathetic women, they get into situations where it's a soul relationship. I have a twin flame connection, soulmate. Well, not a, I can't even say a soulmate connection. It'll be more of a twin flame, same soul type of thing, or you're dating someone who has the same core frequency as you. And once that person leaves, or you go through a separation period, or the relationship is over, you'll be going through a grief period where it's going to feel like you want to die. That's exactly what it feels like. It's called ego death for a reason, because you feel like you want to die. But you have to take it one day at a time. Take every single day, sit with your emotions, and try not to figure out the why. And I know that's really, really hard when you're going through a situation where everything just hits you at once. You were being, a pillar of society. You was being the best girlfriend, or you was being the best that you could be to this person, and they still betrayed you, or they still did something that was against you, that really, really hurt you, that sent you into a soul shock. It's okay. I know it hurts. Believe me, I've been there. I've been past that. But the soul shock is opening you up to understand your purpose in life. Understand the purpose why you met that person. Understanding the purpose of why you're going through all this hurt and this pain. So I always use the analogy of grapes. Grapes turn into wine. Fine wine that people pay a lot of money for. People all over the world drink wine. It's exclusive. But grapes, so what to say, in order to get to the wine, you have to crush the grapes. And yes, you're going through a crushing period. You're going through a transformation period that is so strong, so powerful, that even if you wanted to go back to your old self, your old template, that old energy, it will not allow you, because now you're curious of to what's on the other side of healing. Once you get to a stage where everything starts to make sense, you'll grab a hold of your beliefs in God, because in the beginning, you're kind of going to be against God. You're going to ask God, why? Why me, God? Why did you do this? It's like you and God are going to be beefing in the beginning, but that's okay, because you haven't got to a level of consciousness yet where you'll understand the purpose for this journey. So midway, kind of like during the void stage, when you go through this whole breakup, this separation, this whole disconnect of you in the situation, or it could be a relationship, anything, whenever you go through that soul shock, you will realize that you can't control it. You can't fight it. You can't fight against it. So you're going to tire yourself out. I didn't wake up until I got to the void stage. Every single stage of my spiritual awakening, I kept questioning it, because I was like, why would God chose me to go through a spiritual awakening? I haven't done nothing spectacular. I just want what I had back. I just want to go through what I went through before. I know I've cried out to God and asked God to heal me, to change me. But God, I ain't ready to be healed yet. That was the thoughts in my mind. But then as I went further along, and then I realized I have never learned who I was at my core, not who I am on the outside. I'm talking about strip away the title of a mother, a nurse, a friend, a woman, an empath, a wife, a girlfriend, or anything. Strip away all those titles. Who am I? But I was so occupied by life that I never got to sit with who I am, and I never got to, dig deep down and to understand what I want in life. So once I went through my spiritual awakening, it was no turning back. I had to go full straight through it. I had to go through that pain, and it was times where I wanted to numb it. It was times where I wanted to just say, forget it all. But something inside of me still called me. It still called me to be who I authentically was through my core. So once I got through the dark night of the soul, and I got to the actual stage of the void was like I was cut off from society. Like I was cut off from spirit, and I was cut off from society, because I knew too much to go back to the world. But I knew so much that only thing I wanted to do was to be in the word. I wanted to be in the spiritual world. I wanted to be connected to God. I wanted all these promises that they said you'll get when you go through a spiritual awakening. But I was in the middle. I was in the waiting room. I was in the void where everything felt disconnected. I didn't want to go backwards, but that's all I knew. And then I don't know enough to go forward. So what do you do when you just wait? That's like the surrender stage, where you're going to feel uncomfortable and it's going to hurt and it's going to feel like I need to grab hold of something. You're going to feel like you're drowning and you want to hold on to something. It's nothing to hold on to. You're not going to get those spiritual highs no more. You're not even going to get the spike of dopamine when you read spiritual literature, or you start to learn more about why you're going through this. It's just a dull period. It's a dull phase. But it's one of the phases that's needed to regulate your nervous system. It's kind of like when you go but so far in your spiritual healing, God needs to stop you. He needs to give you a rest. It's like when you go on a hike and you stop at a certain point and you just want to take a rest and you lay down, or you on a road trip and you want to pull over after 8 hours of driving, and then you just, find a hotel to sleep at until the next day when you rejuvenated and you got enough strength to continue driving. It's the same thing with the void. You don't have enough strength to go on. So God is digging up the roots. He's in the roots. He's in the bottom of the weeds, and he's working for your highest and greatest good. I stayed in my void stage for maybe 2.5 months. And I could tell when I was coming out my void stage because I was more interactive with people. I had more faith. I just wanted to help others. I could feel like the ideas of what I wanted to do in life started to come on. It just was like a big burst of energy came over me. And I was thankful to get out of the void, but I also had guilt because I felt like I just wanted to get out of that phase so bad. And now I feel so guilty because I'm out of it and I didn't do my job as to surrender to God while I was in that stage. Then I realized guilt isn't real. If you read scripture, guilt is of the world. And it is no guilt when you don't understand what you're going through. So don't feel guilty and feel like you're failing on your spiritual journey. This is your first time going through a spiritual journey or being a human being. It is all our first time. So God gives you grace. Do not feel like I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have reached out. I shouldn't have went backwards. I shouldn't have stayed at that job. I did anything wrong. You are exactly where you need to be for the healing level that God needs to get you through. And the more and more you start to sit with that pain, the more a level of consciousness you start to elevate and you start to go up, and then you start to understand the reason why nothing worked out in the beginning. And then you start to come into a spiritual adult where your purpose starts to come online. You start to help others. You start to bless the people that did you wrong in your mind, because nobody did us wrong. Everything is a teacher. It's a mirror of us. But some of us are still in the ego and we feel like some people have done us wrong. That's perfectly fine. You're going to get to a point in your spiritual awakening where you actually thank those people for waking you up. It was just a catalyst. So up until you get to that point, you're going to struggle with your emotions. And I just wanted to tell you that it's okay. You are perfect. You are whole. You are healed. You're going to get through this journey. It may be a little tough in the beginning, but the more and more you step and the more and more you commit to your healing, everything works out perfect for God's divine timing.